Yeah, AJ Mahar here with another comment response. So this video was left on my comment. There was no, whatever. Wow. Okay, back to the original scheduled. Yeah, sorry about that. This comment was left on the video that I did. Narcissistic abuse better understood after no contact. It's probably a little bit of an older one. Not the oldest, but an oldie, but maybe a mini little goodie. I have no idea. Anyway, so the commenter says, I don't know what she's doing anymore or where she is. I don't have tabs on her anymore or access to her anymore, which is what I wanted, but the pain of this is indescribable and intolerable. How long does no contact feel this crushing? I can't focus or concentrate. I can't breathe. I can't keep it together. Wow. Can you resonate with that? Have you had at least times like that? Maybe you're experiencing that yourself right now. That is really an extreme, a description of extreme pain. Somebody likely with fairly severe codependency who really doesn't know how to, sounds like, at the time of writing the comment, because I'm not sure when that was, don't think it was that long ago, sounds like at that point in time anyway, it just had no way of coping at all with what was happening for this person. So, which is definitely extreme distress that they're describing, right? And this is the unfortunate nature of these breakups, because so many of them, when they occur, they are, from ghosting that then the person never comes back from, and or somebody shuts the door, but that's harder, or discarding, right? And so, and just a reminder, as always, I'm out here to work with you if you want to heal, and I resonate with you, and you would like to work with me to heal, from the relationship breakup, or whatever iteration, or wherever you're at with that right now, whether you're recycling or not, feel like you're over it, like over wanting them back or not. And you might be in a world of hurt like this person. And for some people, it is like a 24/7 for a long time. Agony proposition, like this commenter rather describes. And so I'm out here to work with you. If I resonate with you, and do you resonate with this commenter? Because I'll bet you there are a lot of people out there, and they might not really be watching this type of video just yet. They might be still really just wanting to hear about people, the borderlines, etc., and or maybe even the vilification of them. But so this person, it says, I don't know what she's doing anymore, where she is. It's interesting because that, along with I don't have tabs on her anymore or access to her anymore, is a codependent reality, but the reality of a lot of pain and agony, but also feeling, really, it sounds, this person feels totally out of control. No control anymore. No knowing where the person is, the ex, no knowing what they're doing, no keeping tabs on them, no maybe self-reverse Hoover of social media. Because you see, a lot of what happens for people after the breakup, or once that, if they've discarded you and there just is no contact, and you don't, like this person, you don't know what they're up to, you don't know what they're doing, and you're going to be thinking about it and ruminating and hurting a lot. Unfortunately, with the cognitive dissonance and the lack of closure and so many other aspects to these very painful breakups, it's all of what I just said, plus people with codependency, how you get left in this sort of limbo, no man's place, differently than if you're still wondering if you're going to get that person back, or you're still even wanting that. This limbo place of the control needs that are underneath the rumination, and as this person describes, that they're in just indescribable pain. And a big part of that will be the being out of control part. Even if somebody, even if many people choose to break up with the borderline and not always ghosted or discarded, and you get to a point where, even if you've recycled several times, it's so painful that, and maybe they finally do go, and there's another breakup, and this time they're not going to hoover you or whatever. And some people with BPD will ghost, discard, and never hoover you back. And many people are in that place of agony because they really want to be hoovered back. You don't have the closure, can't stop thinking about them, and can't focus, etc. And so this person said, not knowing where they are, not having access anymore, can't keep tabs on them, and said, which is what I wanted, you see. So even when it's what you want, or you need, or you might be the one that, even if recycling prior, and the person with BPD hasn't totally just discarded you, you might be the one who wants this or knows you need it in your head. I can't go back, I can't stand it, I can't do it anymore, but still with all those feelings that accompany that, right? Like what's going on with them, and what this commenter is alluding to with the indescribable pain that's intolerable, even though they wanted the breakup. They knew that they needed to not be in the relationship anymore. They don't say anything about how it ended. But this is the other reason why I'm always saying you need to reach out to someone and work with them, and I'm out here if you resonate with me. Because the pain can be intolerable, indescribable, constant, 24/7. And not only in the beginning, for some people, it's going to be like that for a lot longer if you don't reach out and get some help. And even then, I'm not saying that beginning, like when I work with clients, I've worked with clients in experiencing this to the degree that this commenter describes. And it takes a while, but it is at least helpful for them. I've had many clients say to me, like then at the end of the sessions, they might say, well, what can I do now? What am I supposed to do? And then, I try to help them with that and give them some methodology and means and things to practice, which is really hard to do when you can't stop just focusing on the other person still, on the ex. And people tend to sometimes have a little difficulty moving into doing some things that will help them. Some people don't, some people really do. But people always mention that talking about it, when I'm working with clients, I can always speak for the clients I work with, right, and have been for over 33 years, that even when the first session isn't going to help tremendously change anything just yet, right, it takes time, but they really feel some relief just at being able to describe everything to someone, in this case me, and that I hear them and I validate them. And because so many people, and you might be going through this now yourself, or at the time you see this video, so many people after a BP relationship breakup and with codependency, etc., you need to talk about this a lot. And people try to talk to friends or family. And the thing is, if they've never heard of BPD, they don't understand. And I've had so many clients say to me, I've run through all my friends, not that they lost all their friends, but their friends just wouldn't listen anymore. Or maybe their friends back off for a while because people are really repeating themselves. So this is another benefit that working, I know at least with me, I'm very patient and understanding about that. And sometimes clients are like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking about her again, I'm him or her, and I'm going over. It's like, no, it's fine. If I think back to my healing and recovery journeys, and even from codependency, and I had a couple cluster B relationships after I'd healed and recovered, and then I was in your shoes, right? Like I've been there with a breakup with somebody with BPD and BPD, NPD comorbid, and who was an alcoholic. And I certainly understand that rumination, all the confusion, the pain. I broke up with her at the time, but I knew I needed to do that, but it didn't change. And that, yeah, like with my codependency back then, I was feeling out of control. I didn't know what to do about me in a codependent sense. I didn't want to focus on myself. I didn't want to feel the pain that relationship had triggered and some of the pain it had left me with. So it's really important that you don't just sit and suffer and try to talk to your friends or your buddies or coworkers or family who don't understand, right? I've had some clients who they know someone else who's been through this, and yeah, in that case, they talk a lot to a friend who knows what they're talking about. I'm just saying, when people aren't really understanding, they tend to say things like, just get over it already. What are you still talking about him or her for? Which is not helpful, right? And people need their own time to process. And a lot of that processing and to get to where you're ready to work on healing and change is repetitively going over what happened. And clients who are doing that and have done that over the years with me many times, like each client that does, pardon me, they definitely will progress through that, and that will start to lessen, but then sometimes they still have to go back around. And it's also a time when I get peppered with a lot of questions, do my best to answer. It helps increase people's understanding. That can sometimes bring down a little bit of the indescribable, intolerable, but it doesn't change it entirely, but it's like starting to move in that direction. And so the commenter also said, how long does no contact feel this crushing? Well, I would say that no contact will feel, for different people, maybe everybody wouldn't use the word crushing, but crushing, longer for sure if you don't reach out and get into a formal healing or recovery process. That much I just really know is the case. And secondly, it's very individual how long the no contact will feel this crushing, as the commenter says. But this commenter is obviously not sounding like in this comment that they are able to change focus or shift focus at all. So that's the crushing nature of the indescribable, intolerable pain that can often be there in the beginning, but it can be there quite a while after if people don't reach out to get help. Because remember, not everybody with codependency or who's an ex of a person with BPD now, no matter how that came about, not everyone is going to experience this to that 9th degree, but many people do. Not everyone does, but it's still very painful. But some people are really kind of out on this ledge place of crushing and can't stop thinking about it at all. And so how long does no contact feel that crushing to someone in that situation? There's really no answer for that, unfortunately, because it's very individual. And like I said, it really depends on people taking action to get help, to learn how to start shifting the focus, because it's the focus. Sounds like this commenter continually focusing on this, and whatever you focus on will expand, and so it just makes the pain worse and worse and worse and very crushing. And so people have to be careful to understand, reach out, get help, so that you're not doing that to yourself, which a lot of people are doing and aren't. I don't mean everything that you're feeling is just coming from you, but this focus that makes it indescribable, intolerable, and crushing after some period of time and almost every hour of every day. People need to really reach out. That's not tenable. That's not okay to hurt that badly and not reach out for help. And the commenter finishes with, there's no one answer to that. The more people focus on the X and aren't in a process of healing and recovery, the more that it will take longer and it will feel more crushing. And the person said, I can't focus or concentrate. I can't breathe. I can't keep it together. So they sound like they're really just at the most extreme experiencing with so much focus to say even they can't breathe. I hear that, I understand what that means in terms of how much pain that is. And so what this person, the commenter, is likely not aware of or consciously aware they're doing is that focus piece, right? This is intolerable. This is crushing me. I can't concentrate on anything else. So they're ruminating a lot, right? Probably constantly. Can't breathe and I can't keep it together. This is somebody who's now been debilitated to the point where they are sounding like pretty much 24/7. This is the focus. This is the focus. And when that's your focus, as this commenter, who I really have a lot of empathy for, I hope that they moved a little bit ahead since this, or that they reached out to get some help. That focus expanding in this kind of painful situation means that unintentionally and unconsciously, people with codependency, not knowing maybe what else to do, as this commenter really doesn't know what else to do, because this is annihilating them probably on a minute-to-minute basis. They said they feel like they can't breathe, they can't get it together, they can't focus on anything else, it's crushing them. So again, I hope this commenter has reached out for help or will, and that everybody else will. And if you can at all even relate to this, because some people are in this much, the severity of it all to the nines, and some people aren't, but that isn't a whole lot of difference, but it can be some difference in the pain and the impossibility of feeling like you can even hang on day to day with that going on. So that focus is expanding the pain that expands the focus that expands the pain. And this is why I'm always talking about, and this person is certainly not doing this to themselves on purpose. This is why I'm always talking about how crucial it is to start to focus on yourself and to learn how to do that. Because maybe you think, I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. I'm sure you're all very intelligent. So I hope nobody hears me in an incorrect way when I say, and learn to focus on yourself. There's so many people with codependency, and after these relationships and breakups, really do need to learn how to refocus if they were focused on themselves at all, which is often not the case over the course of life. People really, they might focus on their job and their careers and things like that, but they're not emotionally focused on themselves. Because again, codependency is that dysfunctional relationship to and with self. So I really feel for this commenter, and when one feels like they can't breathe and it's crushing them and they can't get it together, it's going to be as a result of, well, everything that happened and how painful these breakups are and the issues that they trigger of codependency and woundedness from childhood, which is really varied across different people, what that actually means. So the key thing here is that focus piece. And getting help to start learning how to practice. Distraction techniques is one thing. Sounds like the commenter isn't even getting those breaks. And then other methodologies and strategies that I help clients with to begin to practice certain things, implement things in their life which they do not feel like doing. And it's hard to do at first. But the more that people repeat these things, the more that they will get even minimal amounts of break from rumination and not being in that highly focused. The focus is expanding your pain, and the more pain you feel, the more you focus on the X, the cluster B, all that goes through your mind, the ruminating, etc. Maybe even, watching their social media, maybe still rereading. I've had so many clients, the rereading of texts and emails. And maybe they have, these days people have a lot of videos, right, of time shared together, places you went, things you might have done. It's really important to understand why I'm always, not always, but often talking about, you need to stop, as this commenter does right now, to get help though, to learn how to start changing, shifting that focus. because it is the focus on the X without any movement to focus on self, helping self, and being in like therapy or working with someone to start to change this crushing, agonizing 24/7, as this person describes it. Can't concentrate on anything, can't get their stuff together, can't breathe, just they're getting crushed. And not everybody who's like a codependent and doesn't have cluster B or anything, who's a BPDX, not everybody survives these relationship breakups. So if you can relate even somewhat to what's happening with this commenter, and I hope that they'll go get help, then you need to get yourself to working with someone as soon as possible, because people can lose their ability to want to be here anymore under that kind of constant pain, where it just jams up life and stops your functioning. Very dangerous and very difficult to deal with. So I hope this was helpful to someone, and if the commenter happens to see it, if you haven't got yourself into treatment yet, please do, because you cannot go on and on in this hyper-aroused state of focus on the X and not being able to breathe and not being able to focus on anything else, and that focus expanding in a way that increases your pain, and then your increased pain feeds more the focus, and that is not only just a cycle or a circle, but it's one that people will spiral down, unfortunately. It can't be maintained. So if you can relate even a little bit, time to reach out, and if not with me, working with someone. And I hope the commenter has done that. And if the commenter sees this and you haven't done that, please do that right now, because you're not going to be able to change anything about this focus driving your pain driving the focus, driving your pain. You're not going to be able to get out of that on your own. People really need to be consciously aware of where they're at with this. And of course, not everybody's affected as severely. Some people can still go to work and they might have difficulty thinking about concentrating on their work at times, but at other times they do manage. And then it depends on how long ago the breakup was. But some people could be in the state that the commenter describes for like longer than months or a year, and then sometimes people don't make it. So, and please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, and I resonate with you, please do subscribe so you'll be able to find me when the dastardly Canadian Bill C-11 starts interrupting the algorithm, because I'm not exactly on top of it anyways, by any means, whatever the algorithm, because they just changed it again. Who knows what you're supposed to do to keep up or try to get found in it. So anyway, please, hit the like button, maybe leave a comment, share your experience, ask questions, maybe if other people comment, support each other. And I hope this was helpful, and it's really hard to hear that somebody is suffering to that kind of an extreme way, because that's not sustainable, and that sounds untenable, and they said the pain is indescribable, and I really heard that. So if you relate even just a little bit, please know you need to reach out for help. Don't stay in that kind of agony, because it drives people to do a lot of things they wouldn't otherwise do, and sometimes the ultimate thing, and then they're not here anymore. And everybody is worth being here, but people do need to get into healing recovery journeys to heal and recover, and especially if experiencing that kind of severity of focus, pain, lack of functioning in their own lives, etc. So I hope that was helpful, and as always, take care.